Hey guys, again, before we start things out here, apologies for this being so late. Something just kind of came up, and the ticket I bought for a 1 o'clock show on Friday got basically passed over. There was no way I was going to get to the showing, so I had to buy one for later afternoon on Saturday instead. So that's why this is so late. But thankfully it's done now, and we're going to be getting right to it, so let's go. Okay, once again, if you're unfamiliar with my review style, whenever I do a sort of big geeky property or a comic book or anything like that, or a comic book movie to be more precise, I tend to just give my overall thoughts very early on and then have a really big spoiler section, so that way people don't get spoiled if they just want to know what I thought of the movie. Okay? Okay. Anyway, Shazam! Fury of the Gods gets a B. Overall, there's some good ideas in this, like the continuing idea over what makes a family and what exactly to do with a family over time, as well as the idea of being truly worthy of power and how to properly apply that power when one acquires it. That being said, unfortunately, on the downside, there's some very ill-conceived character development, for lack of a better term, or ill-thought-of character development, just lacking character development, I should say. Outside of maybe Freddie Freeman and Billy Batson, there's not too much else. The character of Darla in particular really gets the short end of the shift in a very bizarre manner. So, again, character development is just not very good, and the ending really does drag. It's sort of padded out to almost 2.5 hours, and I think it could have been about 15 minutes shorter. It would have been a much better film, a lot more tight, and, again, maybe even a bit more fun. So, yeah, like I said, overall, it's not a bad film. You'll have your fun, but it could have been better.
Holy icicles!
In their daily pursuit of justice, our superheroes characters do battle with the world's most evil villains. Where will the next evil villain come from? Maybe you will create them in Post Superheroes Create a Villain Contest.
Grand prize. 9 kids win a 1-week trip to Hollywood. They'll have breakfast with these superheroes.
And the villain they've created.
Second prize, 1,000 win bicycles.
Millions will enter, and everyone who does gets Superheroes Puffy stickers.
Details on specially marked boxes of Alphabet, Super Sugar Crisp, Honeycomb, and Pebble cereals. You can draw and paint your villain in the picture provided. 3 different pictures.
Superman, Wonder Woman, Batman and Robin.
3 grand prizes per picture.
The most original villains win.
Holy Hollywood!
Post Superheroes Create a Villain Contest. Details on specially marked boxes of Alphabet, Super Sugar Crisp, Honeycomb, and Pebble cereals.
Okay, once again, this is a spoiler section. Skip to here if you wish to avoid everything. Okay, alright, so basically the main plot of Shazam! Fury of the Gods is a group called the Daughters of Atlas were freed from their dimension after Billy broke the Shazam staff in the first film. They have somehow imprisoned Shazam, and they then make it to Earth, where somehow this staff was being displayed in a museum in Greece, and they steal the staff, turn everyone into statues there. There are 3 Daughters of Atlas. We meet 2 right away that are Aspera, that's Helen Mirren, and Calypso, that's Lucy Liu. And so from there, we kind of jump back to Billy, who is dealing with the fact that, he wants, he has his family, the Marvel family, for lack of a better term, or the Shazam family, if you want to call them that. He's trying to keep them together all the time because he wants them to basically be a functioning super team unto their own. But the problem is everyone's kind of going off in their own world. Freddy is seeking out at night to fight crime on his own, not as Shazam Jr., or Captain Everything or something like that. I can't remember the exact term he used. But yeah, he's going out to fight crime on his own. Mary has chosen not to. Billy convinced Mary not to go to college. Unfortunately, she's now having problems because she has to try to get a job. The family does not, because she's over the age of 18. The family no longer receives any financial benefit from her being in the house. And, the same is about to be true for Billy as well. He is 17, about to turn 18 in a few months. And, they are his family and they're still willing to think of him as that. Again, they're not going to receive any benefits from the state for him living there. So they need to start thinking things through a little bit more. And, then you get to the others. Pedro, his sort of story arc is he's in the closet. But, everyone actually, it's then revealed that when he finally does come out, everyone's like, yeah, we knew that already. And Eugene, I guess he's trying to explore all the various portals in the Rock of Eternity to try to figure out which dimensions they lead to, and to warn people not to just wander into any random one. But yeah, other than that, that's his only character development. And then there's Darla, who, again, is kind of funny, but the problem is that type of humor she could get away with when she was 5 or 6 years old. But obviously, the actress is not 5 or 6 years old anymore. I don't want to say she's 10, but she's about that. Yeah, she's definitely about to enter into adolescence. Okay, yeah. So you can't have her talking about getting Skittles to villains to try to change their minds. She semi-adopts a kitten. Kind of goes nowhere, and another plot kind of goes nowhere. That's the other problem with it. Yeah. And it's like, okay, it's clearly enough time has passed for them to be in these positions. But yeah, again, she's old enough now that she shouldn't be acting like that. She should be at least a little bit more mature. Like, there's a joke because they're holding a meeting at one point about something, and Mary is in sunglasses because, she went out with her friends clubbing and got drunk and is hungover. And, Darla is completely oblivious to the idea of being hungover. And it's like, did you go to the eye doctor? And it's like, no 10-year-old would talk like that. I knew what being hungover was by that point. It's like, yeah, that's just kind of bizarre. Likewise, the fact that they keep transferring the superheroes and lightning is striking the house all the time has aroused the parents' suspicions as to what exactly is going on. Also, the Shazam family is not well regarded in Philadelphia. In fact, because they all, instead of trying to act like one solid team, they're all acting kind of independently for each other. They're trying to either look cool or something. Yeah, like, very early on, there's an incident with the Ben Franklin Bridge. It starts falling apart. They're trying to save everyone. Billy is actually trying to save everyone. Mary is trying to get survivors off of the part of the bridge that's about to collapse. The others are trying to keep things together as best they can, but they keep, going off on their own thing. Freddy wants to look good and hit on girls. Darla finds the kittens, like I said. And I can't remember what the other two are doing. Yeah. Again, maybe that's kind of part of the problem here. Like, I am all for doing the big Shazam family, but you gotta try to have something for everyone to do. Like, just having the characters there isn't representation, for lack of a better term. And I might get in a little trouble for using that term, but it's like, that's the best way I can describe it. It's not just them standing there. They have to have more than this character likes video games and this one's gay. Exactly. Like, that's all they really get. Anyway, we then go, at this time too, Billy is visited by Shazam in a dream because it turns out the Daughters of Atlas have imprisoned him and have kind of tricked him and forced him into reconnecting the staff, which restores all of their powers and allows them to cross over to Earth and begin to absorb the magic from the champions, which is what they plan to do. And Shazam is not happy with Billy because he seems more concerned with, again, goofing off and trying to keep the family together rather than helping people, which is what he was supposed to be doing, like help people, and admit that, hey, just because, Mary has to go off to college at some point, you might have to move out of the house on your own, doesn't mean you can't all come together and still be heroes as a family. Which I think is the point that I think the movie is trying to make, but sometimes it gets a little muddled at that point. But yeah, as this happens, Freddy has fallen in with a girl named Anne in his school, and it turns out she is actually the third daughter of Atlas. Her name is Anthea, and she basically tricks Freddy into revealing himself as, part of as a champion of Shazam. They absorb his powers, they take him hostage, and so now the group has to try to work together again to get Freddy back and restore his powers and save everyone again. They also encase Philadelphia in a giant dome because they also plan to find the seed of the Tree of Life so that they can restore their realm to full power and enslave humanity. The Daughters of Atlas, it plays a lot onto the Greek myth. Atlas, the god of endurance, the Titan who turned against the other Titans in the war with the Olympians, but then was sentenced to hold the sky up for all eternity. And his daughters, Calypso, Espera, and Anthea, guarded the Tree of Life with the golden apples. And the Tree of Life rests on top of a dragon. So, okay, now you get the idea. And they're upset because eventually, people turned on the gods and kind of booted them all out. And they had to be isolated, and Shazam stripped the gods of their powers. And, when you choose them as champions, they have to represent the wisdom of Solomon, the strength of Hercules, the endurance of Atlas, the power of Zeus, I can't remember what Achilles is, and the speed of Mercury. So but even then, Billy is not even aware that that's supposed to be how his powers are applied. He doesn't even know how to pronounce Solomon. He calls him Soloman. He calls him Saruman. I think he calls him something else at some point. And it's like, That being said, there are some funny points. There are some good parts. There's a point where Pedro reveals that he has discovered a secret library that contains a pen that he calls Steve that can basically write down anything that's transcribed. And so when they're trying to negotiate to get Freddy in return to them, they write a letter. You could write this letter, you could say exactly who it's to, and the letter turns into a bird, which then transports to the person that you're trying to send the letter to. And the joke is, the pen transcribes everything. So they're like, "Dear Daughters of Atlas, violence is never the answer." Yeah, that's a pretty good start, isn't it? And so there's all these, they literally transcribe the whole conversation, and thus the daughters are actually able to discern the identities of the champions of Shazam. And and eventually this sort of leads, and around this time too, Anthea has a change of heart because she does have feelings for Freddy. She allows Freddy and Shazam to be freed to try to make their way home. As this is happening, we get the first kind of biggish battle with the daughters and the family. But in the process, Pedro is stripped of his powers. And then, but they do manage to take Espera hostage. However, this was all just a trick so she can get access to the library where she finds the golden apple, which is the seed. It's at this point, though, that the sisters splinter because it turns out Calypso wants to plant this thing on Earth, which would destroy everything, and Eve and Espera's like, no, we don't want to destroy them. We want to, lord over them. We want to enslave them, destroy them. And Calypso's like, yeah, and they rebelled against us once. What's to prevent them from that happening again? And that kind of turning into a big fight between them. Eventually, Espera gets run through by the dragon because Calypso awakens it. She plants the seed in the middle of Citizens Bank Park in Philadelphia. And it starts growing, and that leads to the big final battle as everyone gets back together. Freddy briefly gets his powers back, but then loses them again. The other members of the family all lose their powers. But Billy sort of realizes that the staff is actually overcharging like a battery, and they need to repower it. They basically need to overload it to get it to work. And as Espera is dying, he comes to her and he says, "Look, if you can help me long enough, like, what'll happen if I overpower this battery?" So everything in the dome will get blown up, basically. It'll turn into a giant bomb. And he says, "Okay, I need you to shrink down the dome so that, you know, the people in the city can't die," basically. And so they have another big fight at the baseball stadium. Espera uses her last bit of strength to contract the dome enough. Despite Freddy's pleas, Billy says, "No, I have to do this." So yeah, he finally, you know, uses the wisdom of Solomon and realizes that, you know, he has to make sure people don't get hurt, and they finds his true calling. And again, you got the idea. And it looks like Billy's dead. He gets buried on Mount Olympus. However, then Wonder Woman shows up, and she's allowed to actually repower the staff, which gives birth there, restores life to everything on Mount Olympus, including Billy. That was the other sort of thing that like happened in here, was Billy having, he wants to, you know, he's in love with Wonder Woman, basically. And she's like, you know, I know you're a kid. So, yeah, I know you're barely about to turn 18. That's not enough, but, you know, hey, you know, try still being working on the superhero game. And then we get a mid-credits stinger where the people from, I think it's the Peacemaker show, it might also be the Suicide Squad as well, approach Billy with the offer to join the Justice Society. And that's it. And he's like, "Yeah, no, I want to be in the Justice League, not the Justice Society." And also, you know, why on earth would you call, you know, both teams Justice something? Couldn't you, you know, maybe come up with something a little less sound, including, he wanted to call them the Avenger Society. Yeah, so again, there's some, like I said, there's some good fun in this. There's some funny points in this. I do like the cast chemistry for the most part. Again, it's just very paltry character development. And again, the final battle stretches on a little too long. There's a lot of running around. It's like, get to the point. You know, we're spending, you know, 4 minutes. He realizes this, and then he realizes what he has to overpower the staff. But then we don't get him making the deal with Espera until like 6 minutes later. Like, tighten that up a little bit. Like, you know, once he gets the staff back, he should have, or once that happens, it should, yeah, Espera should have, like, realized what was happening or something. Like, just something to make that story part a little tighter. Like, the ending just dragged on a little too much. Likewise, it maybe would have made more sense for Billy to just die and, you know, Freddy to get the power, since he got kind of the big story arc, you know, the big secondary story arc, which was him also kind of realizing what it takes to be a hero, and not just to go for the glory, and to, you know, learn that when your family is calling you to be serious, you need to actually be serious. You can't just be running out on your own. But still, it's like, yeah, yeah, I think you get the point here. I'm starting to speak in circles. But yeah, you get the idea. Like I said, I talked about the character development. It's not a bad film. It's enjoyable. It was fun. I had fun parts of this film too. Like I said, the cast chemistry was good. There's good humor in this. I didn't even get to talk about the unicorns somehow. I forgot about that. But, you know, that had some good points. John Hunsu as Shazam was really good in this. I always thought he's even spoken about, he's been a very underutilized actor. And yeah, I agree. Someone who probably should have gotten a lot more premiere roles. But he does a good job as Shazam in this. And, you know, again, he basically becomes like full human at the end of it, and he's allowed to basically walk the earth and live amongst the people for a while, and he doesn't have to be in the Rock of Eternity anymore. So he gets that going for him. Okay, so yeah, that pretty much sums up the spoiler section here.
They're coming from all corners of the universe to a Burger King near you. The Superpowers Cup Holders. Only Burger King puts them under your child's command. When they buy a soft drink, they can get a Superpowers Cup Holder to play with for just $1.19. Superman, Batman, Wonder Woman, Darkseid. $1.19 each. Collect all 4 while you can, because the Superpowers team is headed for other galaxies.
Okay, trailer time, and again, we're just going to kind of go over all the trailers here. First, we had Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse. Then we had Dungeons & Dragons Honor Among Thieves again. Then we had the George Foreman biopic, which is called George Foreman. Then we had The Flash. Then we had Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny. Then we had Fast X. And then we ended with Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. So, yeah, not really too much new there. Again, Fast X is Fast and Furious. I've been really not been able to keep track of anything in that franchise. I thought they were supposed to go to space in this one, but I guess not. Anyway, other than that, yeah, again, the George Foreman biopic is the George Foreman biopic, and yes, they do mention the grill. And yeah, that's pretty much it, I think, just in terms of anything new, unless, yeah, oh, Indiana Jones. Yeah, I guess that's the other one, yeah, you know, which looks good, but again, it's kind of a, you know, I liked Kingdom of the Crystal Skull, but I know a lot of people didn't, and to be honest, I don't know if it's really going to be that much better than Kingdom of the Crystal Skull. If, you know, the only thing that you didn't like about it was Shia LaBeouf, maybe, but other than that, yeah, I don't know if this is necessarily going to be that much better. But still, again, overall kind of interesting stuff. So next video is going to be the recap and review for Impact Wrestling Sacrifice. Then the random trade review on Spy Boy Volume 3. I finally managed to get through that. At least now into the early scripting stages for it. And then, yeah, don't really know much else after that. It's going to be a 3-week break because we got WrestleMania week coming up too, so we'll have the predictions videos for that. A 3-week break in between random trade review episodes. I spoke about that in the the Mandalorian review. You know, we'll do episodes 4 and 5 of the Mandalorian as well. Let's see, and then next theatrical release is going to be the Super Mario Brothers movie. I don't know what's going to be after that. Again, this is kind of coming down to a lot of finances and stuff like that. So, see you all next time. Hey guys, remember you can request a movie or a television series for me to review at my Patreon at patreon.com/CPTime for Cat Productions. Also, remember to like the video, comment, share, subscribe, and ring that notification bell so that you can be alerted to further videos.